The Appalachian Mountains are older than bones, older than trees, older than sharks. They're 480 million years old, which means they were here before anything with a skeleton walked on land. And here's the thing nobody tells you. What you see on the surface is just the eroded stumps of what used to be there. These mountains were once as tall as the Himalayas. But the real secret isn't what's gone, it's what's still underneath. Right now, beneath your feet in Appalachia, there's an entire hidden world of water. Not a lake, not a river, a sprawling network of fractured rock aquifers that stores more water than all the visible streams and rivers combined. Here's the mind-blowing part. 30 to 40% of the ground under these mountains is water. The rock looks solid, it feels solid, but it's riddled with microscopic cracks, fractures, and pores, all holding groundwater that's been seeping through for millions of years. Recent research just discovered that this deep groundwater, some of it 100 meters below the surface, contributes more than half the water flowing in Appalachian streams. And in some places, that water travels hundreds of kilometers underground before it ever sees daylight. One flow along the base of the Rockies, 238 kilometers. That's 148 miles of invisible underground river. 200 species found nowhere else on Earth. But water isn't the only thing hiding down there. The southern Appalachians, specifically the Cumberland Plateau, are recognized as a global hotspot of subterranean biodiversity. Over 200 species live in these caves that exist nowhere else on the planet. We're talking about creatures that have evolved in total darkness for so long, they don't have eyes anymore. The southern cavefish, completely blind, translucent. It's adapted to a world without light by just deleting its eyes and skin pigment entirely. Then there's the Tennessee cave salamander, ghostly white, long, spindly limbs. It lives in an ecosystem so delicate that a single pollutant entering the groundwater can wipe out entire populations. And the Appalachian cave harvestman, a spider-like arachnid with legs longer than its body, feeling its way through pitch-black caverns hunting prey it can't see. These aren't just rare animals, they're biological time capsules, creatures that show us what evolution looks like when you remove light, seasons, and surface predators from the equation. In Sweetwater, Tennessee, 140 feet below ground, there's the largest underground lake in the United States. It's called the Lost Sea, part of a massive cave system called Craighead Caverns. Explorers have found fossils of prehistoric jaguars down there, Cherokee pottery, arrowheads. This place has been used by humans and animals for thousands of years. Then there's Ellison's cave in Georgia, home to Fantastic Pit, a 586-foot vertical drop, one of the deepest in the US. That's a 50-story freefall into darkness. The cave has over 12 miles of mapped passages, and it sits directly on top of an active fault line, meaning the Appalachians, despite being ancient, are still geologically active. In 1988, there was a small earthquake centered right under that mountain. The fault is still moving, slowly, but moving. Here's where it gets weird. The Appalachians formed 480 million years ago, when Africa and North America collided to create the supercontinent Pangaea. Those mountains were massive, Himalayan-scale peaks. But then Pangaea split apart. The mountains eroded. For 200 million years, wind and rain wore them down until they were almost completely flat, a plains-like landscape where towering peaks used to be. And then, about 65 million years ago, something happened. The Appalachians started growing again. Geologists call it an uplift. The hot mantle beneath the Earth's crust started pushing up, rejuvenating the mountains. Nobody knows exactly why. Some think it's related to tectonic activity on the other side of the continent, near the Rockies, like the entire continental plate is rocking back and forth. What you see today isn't the original mountain range, it's the second version, the mountains that refused to stay dead. Half of America's drinking water. This hidden underground world isn't just cool, it's critical. The fractured rock aquifers beneath the Appalachians supply drinking water to millions of people across 8 states. And unlike public water systems, most of the wells drilled into these aquifers are private, unmonitored, and unregulated. which means if something contaminates that groundwater, industrial runoff, fracking chemicals, or agricultural pollutants, it can travel for miles underground before anyone notices. Researchers recently found that groundwater in some Appalachian wells contain traces of volatile organic compounds from sources over 10 kilometers away. And because the water moves so slowly through these fractured rocks, contamination can persist for decades. It's not like a river that flushes itself out. This water has been down there for years, sometimes centuries, slowly filtering through rock. Here's the kicker that makes all of this even crazier. The Appalachian Mountains, they're not just connected to the Scottish Highlands, they are the Scottish Highlands. Same mountain range. When Pangaea was still one supercontinent, the central Pangaean Mountains stretched from what's now North Carolina all the way across the Atlantic to Scotland, Morocco, and Norway. One continuous ridge. Then, 200 million years ago, Pangaea split. The Atlantic Ocean opened up between the continents, and that single mountain range got ripped in half. So when Scottish and Irish immigrants arrived in Appalachia in the 1700s, they settled there because it felt like home. The rolling hills, the climate, the rock formations. They didn't know why, they just knew it felt right. Turns out, they were literally standing on the same mountains their ancestors had lived on, just separated by 3,000 miles of ocean. The rocks beneath your feet in Tennessee are the exact same age, same type, same formation as the rocks in the Scottish Highlands. Geologists can match them layer by layer. It's the same mountain, just torn apart. So yeah, the Appalachians are ancient, older than bones. But what's underneath them? The sprawling aquifers, the eyeless creatures, the underground lakes, the fault lines still shifting. That's only half the secret. The other half is in Scotland, separated by an ocean, but still the same mountain.